Hey folks, this is Vince with Ads Gaming Addiction, and today we're going to throw some Tropico 6 tips your way. This video is aimed more at beginners that are new to the Tropico series, but Tropico 6 does have some new mechanics that the other games do not have, and we'll be focusing on some of those too. So stick around, maybe you'll learn something new. The first thing I want to talk about is the Almanac. Super important. And one of the things that I always look at when I open up the Almanac is how many unemployed people I have and how many vacant jobs that I have. If I have a bunch of unemployed, that means there's just people not doing anything that could be earning me money. So I put down production buildings typically in that case. If I have a lot of vacant jobs, there's no sense in putting down more production buildings to make money because they're just going to be empty and drain your resources. So if there are vacant jobs, then maybe build some housing to focus more on people happiness. Speaking of happiness, there's also a happiness tab, and that'll tell you where your weak links are. Keep in mind that depending on the era that you're in, some things will be more important than others, and you do have some leeway in the very starter era, which is the colonial era. So don't worry too much about happiness in the beginning of the game, although later on when elections start happening, you'll really want to hone in on what you're lacking and build the appropriate structures. Now, without money, you can't do anything, so it's super important to check the export price list to see what commodities are selling for the highest amount. You want to focus on those as quickly as you can in order to jumpstart your economy. And if you want to see what you're exporting, go to your economy tab, and under the revenue section, you'll be able to drill into your export section to see what commodities you're currently exporting. And if you see a raw good in there, say tobacco or sugar, and you have access to the production building that refines that, then you may want to consider replacing that export with something a bit more refined so that you can make more money. Now, in the older versions of Tropico, you'll be able to actually set the wage, like the numerical wage for your workers at a particular structure. So, for example, at a farm or a plantation, you can actually say, I'm going to pay these guys 6 coin or whatever. In the later versions of Tropico, namely 5 and 6, there's a new budget section where you can do like a little bit of money or a lot of money or something in between. There's like 5 buttons that you can click on. If you max out the budget, it increases job quality and efficiency. It also increases the wage, so you're going to lose a little bit more money. That being said, the cost definitely is worth it because the amount of production that you get from a building with a fully maxed out budget is insane. So that's a great way to jumpstart your economy. Just max out your budget on all of your production buildings and watch the money start flowing in. Now, since you're going to be producing more, make sure you've got some extra Teamster offices so that you can transport the goods to your dock for export. So let's talk a little bit about fertility. Now, the obvious tip here is whenever you're putting down a plantation for the first time or a ranch, whatever, put the right crop type in the right location. If you click on a crop type like pineapple, sugar, tobacco, whatever, you'll see the screen change colors, green, red, yellow, whatever. There's colors everywhere. Make sure you're putting farms on the green sections. I mean, that's obvious. That means it's appropriate for that location. Your fertility will be great there. Now, what I got hung up on was something called fertility, and that actually decreases over time. So the soil that you're planting your crops on will go down and your buildings will be less efficient over time. However, plantations have this multiculture mode, which decreases the efficiency of the building by 40%, but it does not decrease the fertility over time. The plantation also gets 10% efficiency for other plantations nearby of different crop types. So put like corn next to pineapple and pineapple next to sugar, whatever. So as long as they're different types, they will kind of regain that bonus back. So even though they're losing 40% up front, you can kind of make up for that over time. Now, there's also other structures that will help you with this fertility issue, one of which is the ranch. And there's even something called pasture prohibition on that ranch. And that's a setting that you'll need to enable. This will not decrease the fertility of the land in its vicinity. It will decrease the efficiency by 15%, but it'll start making manure. And manure is super important because it's actually given to another structure called a manure spreader. And the manure spreader will actually give all the farms and plantations near it, the manure needs to sort of give that fertility back to the land. So farming in this Tropico 6 is a bit more complicated compared to the other games in the series, because in this game, land fertility will drop over time unless you take the appropriate steps. And just to sum all of that up, put your plantations on the multicultural mode, put your ranch on the pasture prohibition, and then lastly, put a manure spreader near all of that stuff to keep the fertility up. So the modes on the plantation and the ranch will prevent the fertility from going down, and the manure spreader will help keep it increasing. So over time, your plantations and your ranches will see an increase in efficiency. Switching gears for a moment, let's talk a little bit about trade routes. Whenever you switch to a new era, all of your existing trade routes are canceled, null and void. And since you're getting new factions that you're dealing with, all of the reputation that you had accrued with the prior factions are gone. So, over time, you gain reputation with these factions and you get better bonuses for your exports. But all of that goes away when you switch eras. So keep that in mind whenever you're switching from one era to the next. You're going to be without those big bonuses for a while until you build that reputation back up again. So it goes without saying it's very important to keep your diplomacy up, build the embassies, put the factions in those embassies, keep them happy so that they don't turn against you. But you can totally cheese the system and make some money this way. If you praise a faction, it costs you typically 5,000 to do so, and the relationship goes up by 10. But there's another action called Ask for Financial Aid. It costs you 20 reputation to do this. However, you get $20,000. So if you praise twice and then ask for financial aid, you'll get the same reputation net and go up by $10,000. So win-win. The broker. I see him as a get-out-of-jail-free card I can put in my back pocket. By spending Swiss bank account money, I can buy various things on offer, and these things will rotate out. Typically, these are faction standing bonuses or blueprints. Either way, these are great things to have when you need them. Now, you have to spend Swiss money, and how do you earn Swiss money? There's a couple of different ways. From time to time, he'll offer you a job. Just by producing something, he might give you some Swiss money. That's easy enough, right? That's just do those whenever you can. Another way is if you put down a ministry building and then slot the workers with broker candidates. Typically, these broker candidates just give you a flat so much Swiss money per month. So easy peasy, just find that ministry building, plop it down, broker candidates for the win. Next, put down a bank and then put it on these slush funds mode. This will just transfer money and siphon it from your actual bank account, the treasury account, to your Swiss bank account. So it just kind of transfers that money over time. There's also a customs office, and there's a special tax mode. On your exports, you just kind of earn a little extra that kind of gets siphoned into your Swiss bank account. So it's just it's kind of like the bank, but it's based on exports. So it's kind of different, but kind of not. Lastly, there's edicts. The one in particular is called a building permit. It makes buildings more expensive, but the difference of the cost will typically get added to your Swiss bank account based on a certain percentage. So it's just another way of earning Swiss money in order to afford some of these broker offers. The Pirate Cove. So this is kind of a nod to Tropico 2, which was the odd child of the series. I loved Tropico 2. It's an older game, so it doesn't run very well on my system, but Tropico 2 involved pirates. And they brought some of that into Tropico 6. And the way this works is you can send a team out to get various things. You can quote-unquote rescue people, but you can also loot various goods. So you can use that to supplement your economy. So if you're having trouble finding land that will grow tobacco, simply loot it with the Pirate Cove and bring it in that way. Last but not least, and this is probably obvious, but I'm going to say it anyway. Whenever you're switching eras, make sure you've got a lot of money banked. I like to have 100,000 or so in the bank before I switch eras. Reason being, when you switch eras, your goals are going to change, your factions will change, and you're going to have a whole new set of problems and a whole bunch of new buildings to solve those problems. So in order to get a lot of those buildings down right away, in order to solve those problems, you're going to need money. So before you switch eras, if you can help it, hang around a little bit on the old era and bank some money that way and then switch over. And there you have it. I try to keep this video at a respectable length. It never works out, but I try. If you like this video, subscribe to my channel, and whatever you kids do nowadays to help my channel grow, that would be wonderful. So if you have any questions, hit me up on Discord. This is Vince. Thanks for watching. I'll catch y'all next time. Take care.